What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go over a lesser known blink mechanic. In fact, it's so overlooked that some of you may not even know about it. I have talked about this briefly in some of my other videos, but I decided it was time to do an in-depth video dedicated to this technique. So what exactly are we talking about here? Well, it's called a blink pop-up, and I choose to look at it as more of a bug or a glitch of sorts that occurs because of how strange blink is and how it operates. Let's hop in game so I can show you what a blink pop-up looks like and how to perform one for yourself. Alright, to show this off to you guys, we're going to be starting here on Bannerfall. Now this is where I originally discovered it, which is right off this little flower pot, so I thought there's no better place for me to show it off to you guys to start. Now, I want to clarify, there's two different variants of a blink pop-up. The first one I'm going to go over is called a blink pop-up slam. This is what I first discovered, and until recently I didn't know that there was a different type. So, let's cover this one first. What you're going to need is a slight incline in front of you. That's why this potted plant works very well. Now, you're going to run at it, jump, and once you're coming close to this, when you do that jump, you're going to quickly blink as quick as possible. So you're going to press your jump key the second time as quickly as possible to initiate that blink. And here's what that's going to look like. You can see right there, it launched me into an invisible ceiling and hit me into the ground, and it damaged me. If we blink here regularly, we can see there's no invisible ceiling, but for some reason, when you come at this, it's going to hit you way back down into invisible ceiling and crash you into the ground. And it will almost always hurt you, and it can kill you, so you need to keep that in mind. Now, when we're talking about what this could be useful for, it could do things like getting you behind cover fast when you're running away from an enemy. So let's say there's an enemy behind you and you really wanted to get away. Well, you could take a really long blink and go all the way over here, but you're going to be in the air for a long time, and then you still have to get behind this. But if the enemy was behind us and we were running really fast, we could do this and get down a little faster and get behind that cover. Now again, this is going to hurt us, but the surprise factor is also something to keep in mind. When that enemy is looking at us and we go straight into the air super fast and launch back down, he's going to have to adjust his aim that entire time. Now, when it's something like a hunter roll, you can keep your aim up with that because you're used to that. People aren't used to a Warlock, especially a blink Warlock, just in general, but when you are flying around at insane speeds that they don't understand or expect, you could really take them by surprise and do some crazy things. See, like that one, I didn't even get hurt. You are going to hear your legs crunching every time because you about break your leg bones every time you perform one of these. But again, you need a sharp little incline like this, not too sharp, but it can't be too dull, and you're just going to jump into it and press your blink key as quick as possible, and it's going to launch you back down. So that is a blink pop-up slam, just like that. Keep that in mind. You can use that in different places to get you behind cover, to get you aggression. You can actually use this for aggression. If you're using a shotgun and you see someone in front of you and you want to get them, you can do this and take them out. Now you need to understand, it's going to take a second. You're going to be staggered because you hit the ground so fast. So just like in any other game mode, PvE, PvP is what I mean by that. When you fall from too high of a distance and you hit the ground and you take damage, you're going to become staggered. And when you get staggered, as you can see, it takes a second before your gun comes back out. So be aware of that because you're not going to be able to instantly shoot. I'm going to show you a clip a little later where I was actually able to utilize a blink pop-up slam correctly and got a kill with it, but I almost didn't because I wasn't able to ready my shotgun as fast as I would have liked to, but the enemy was so caught off guard that I was able to pull the kill off. So that's a blink pop-up slam. We're going to take a second and we're going to move on to the next variant. Okay, so again, I told you I have another variant. Now, we covered the blink pop-up slam, but this next one's going to be called a blink pop-up float. So this one isn't going to slam you into an invisible roof and throw you back down. What this one is going to do is actually give you a lot of air time. You're going to be able to float very high up, and you get a lot of air time that you can look around and possibly shoot somebody. Now, this one's a little harder to recreate. I'm going to do my best to get as many of them as I can and show it to you guys and do my best to explain it. So, from what I've discovered, you still need a little incline like this. No matter what it is, a blink pop-up is going to need a little incline, whether it's a slam or the float variant. You're going to run at this, you're going to jump, and you want to be aiming for around the top part of this, and whatever it may be around the top of what you're jumping into. You're going to wait until it's about the first 1 or 2 frames of a downward momentum. once you have that first 1 or 2 frames of the downward momentum, that's when you're going to do your second blink. And if you do that correctly, you should float very high up into the air. So let me show you a few blink pop-up floats. See, just like that. And look how much airtime we got. We actually went so high up that we started leaving the map. So just like you saw there, it's hard to really say it as while I'm doing it because it's just so quick. But you're going to run at this, you know, aiming around here. You don't need to do any crazy camera work like flying around or anything. Nope, you can just keep it steady. But right when you're coming on that first 1 or 2 frames of your downfall, you're going to do your second blink. You run, and as soon as we start falling, there we go. We do that, and we're going to float way up. And as you can see, you actually can get slammed down. Of course, you're going really high up, so again, this one can hurt you, so you have to keep that stuff in mind. And there's another one. That one wasn't as high, so you can see you can get it more practical. There we can see that's a pretty good one. I launched pretty high up, and again, I lost half my health when I landed there, so you really do got to keep that stuff in mind. There's another good one. Again, just as soon as you're falling, you do that. And it is pretty difficult to time sometimes. And what I've noticed, it really depends on what you're launching off of. It can be rather difficult depending on that. I'll show you 1 or 2 more on some different maps, but it can be difficult, so don't get too frustrated, take your time, and if it doesn't happen every time, you know, it's not a big deal because it can be difficult to pull off. Alright, so we're here on Distant Shore. I want to show you another one here, maybe a few on this map, but at least this one, because it's one you can replicate really easily. Now again, we have a really good part right here where it's barely above us, and this is what you want, these little inclines, nothing crazy, and we're aiming for this rock right here. So what you're going to do is run up to that, jump, blink, and that's going to launch you up real high. Again, it's going to slam you down pretty hard. I didn't take damage on that one, but it was close, and if it slams you down any harder, you're definitely going to. So jump, blink, and launch up. Now that could let you go above this doorway and probably surprise somebody, like a pseudo hunter jump, which is something I talk about a lot as a good strategy to use for blink, where usually I just say to blink above the doorway. You could implement this instead and take them out as you came down. So keep that spot in mind. And what I've kind of started doing to really make sure I hit these blink pop-ups as I go, bum, bum, and just kind of do that little pace keeping mnemonic device. So you do that out loud, and that's going to let you really just keep that in your head, the timing, because it's a very small window to get the blink pop-up off. So if you keep that in your head, that'll be very nice. Now there is another little rock over here that I was looking at, and this is towards B, so you could get some nice ones over here. Yeah. So this is a great time to show off. Maybe enemies are spawning over here, you've been holding down towards B, and they start spawning. Okay, you need to get out now. What we're going to do is head towards Shrine, run through here, do a quick blink pop-up slam, and that's going to take us straight through that doorway as quick as possible. And they're not going to have a lot of time to shoot us when we're bouncing around like crazy, flying through doorways. And again, you can do it if you're getting chased from this way and you wanted to go towards that way through Shrine. You just run on through there and take your slam. That's going to get you down really quickly, and that way we're spending as least time in the enemy's vision as possible, and then we can go wherever we want once we get through this little entranceway here. But it's great to keep in mind. It can be a really nice tool for just launching your hitbox around, and changing your hitbox is one of the best ways to just confuse the hell out of your enemy and get you to safety. So now that we've covered a few different spots where I've showed you how to use the float and the slam, I just want to show you guys a little clip I have that I've actually gotten to use the blink pop-up slam effectively on an enemy, and it scored me a kill and won me around in trials a few weeks ago. This is before War 3.0, but that's not really relevant to the clip. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Now I can tell you that I have very rarely used this technique in practical gameplay, and of that handful, I only have one to show off. As you can see, I start this clip off with a blink pop-up that launches me back to the ground, quickly to help me speed me along mid-map. As you can see, it does damage me a bit, which could be risky if you're not careful to heal before engaging. Now in a second, I start to trade shots with an enemy, and he does decide to pop a rift to heal. After that, I'm going to charge an Axion and pull out my shotgun for a rush as an aggressive play. Now you'll notice as I blink towards him, I hit the tip of Mohawk here and pop up myself. It slams me back into the ground, and I was able to take him out before he could kill me. Now, I'm sure the shock of seeing a Warlock zooming through the air led me to securing this kill. As with Blink in general, a big part of a Blink pop-up will be the surprise factor it can bring. Outside of combat, it can have other uses, such as popping you up into the air for a longer period of hang time if you can get a blink pop-up float, and it could possibly get you over an object and back to the ground very fast for a quick getaway and getting behind cover with a blink pop-up slam. As we touched on before, the combat capabilities of this technique are not yet to be seen to their full potential, and in the future, this might become one of the best tools in a Blink Warlock's arsenal. I think the part of the blink pop-up with the most potential is the float variant. With this, you could get a nice sniper angle, or quickly take some hand cannon shots at an enemy with your brief period of airtime. And if you need to get back to the ground quicker, you can perform a blink dive to do so. I will be focusing a bit more on trying to intentionally entwine this technique into my gameplay, and if it pays off, I will be sure to update you all. I think it is important to keep in mind the risks this can bring, as an extended time in the air can be very risky with the float variant. And when it comes to the slam variant, you could potentially hurt or even get yourself killed. So keep that in mind before using this technique too often. I did talk about blink pop-ups in a former video where I covered blink terminology. So if you are interested in seeing even more terms like this one, I'll link that in the top right and on the end screen. If you enjoyed this, then be sure to leave a like and a comment telling me about any kind of video you want to see in the future. I have plenty of videos coming to you in the next few weeks, but if there is something specific you want to see, then let me know so I can get to it. We're almost at 300 subscribers and I can't wait to keep growing our community. For now, I'm going to go do a few blink pop-ups. Have a great day, Guardians.